There's so much Tesla news today. Let's go through everything, starting with Tesla's 200 IQ move. You know how sometimes the least bright people and the brightest people come to the exact same conclusion, while the people in the middle tend to overcomplicate and create 200-step processes to solve obvious problems? This is what I'm talking about. Elon Musk just confirmed that the Tesla supercompute cluster Giga Texas is actually going to have 100,000 H100/H200 chips with massive storage for video training of FSD and Optimus. And just earlier, people were thinking it will be just a 50,000 chip cluster, making it double the size. And on top of that, they are adding H200s. So yeah, we went on June 4th from 50,000 to 100,000 now. And at that time, it was only H100s that Elon mentioned. All other companies are trying to put 100 sensors on their vehicles, but Tesla just has more training compute, more data, and vision only. Simple. We already know what Tesla needs to do to solve FSD. We just need to have more data, better compute. We just need to do more of what Tesla has already done. This is a very exciting time for FSD. If you remember, Elon said earlier that there's a clear path for Tesla to double the miles between interventions in August. The 200 IQ move for Tesla is just to keep doing what it has been doing. Don't really change anything except just do more of what you have already done. Because the competition, they just cannot ever catch up to Tesla. They are too far behind. Who else has a 100,000 H100/H200 cluster? Just for FSD? Tesla is going to win this race, and there's nothing that the competition can do to beat Tesla. Remember what Piper Sandler said just a week ago: don't roll your eyes and buy Tesla stock, because they believe that Tesla has a very good chance of winning this FSD game. By the way, there's something seriously strange happening with Japanese stocks, which experienced the biggest one-day drop since 1987, and that's causing all of the other markets to drop as well. There was a big Tesla stock buying opportunity. Tesla was down 10%. It is 2024, and Tesla stock today closed just a little bit under $200. So it recovered a little bit, but a decade from now, people will look back at this and say this was a steal. And a decade ago, I can confirm that Tesla stock indeed was a steal at $15 per share. So is it time to buy more Tesla stock, or due to fears of a recession, should we hold back? In the long term, recessions turn out to be the greatest times to buy. Although I know that during a recession, it is difficult to buy and then just see your portfolio red a day after day after day after day. And look, from here, if we really have a strong recession, we are almost certainly going to drop a lot further. But finding that bottom is pretty much almost impossible. With a serious recession, we would drop further from here unless Elon Musk pulls out a rabbit out of a hat and the stock suddenly rallies, which, by the way, has happened before multiple times already. If you remember the 2020 recession, Tesla stock dropped and then it exploded. You can barely even see this drop, but it was a 50% drop, a very sudden drop. So no recession is going to keep me away from Tesla stock. I know that Elon Musk is going to pull a rabbit out of a hat. I know it will happen. I just don't know the exact timing of it. And frankly, I don't even think that Elon knows the exact timing himself. Elon also gave this new huge supercomputer cluster a name. It's called Cortex. A very fitting name if you ask me. A lot of investors, by the way, they don't let their cortexes dictate their decision. They make their limbic system dictate their emotional investing decisions. Here's Elon Musk saying that this is a problem, but it's not a problem that will last. Other companies dumping EVs at massive negative gross margin is a problem, but not a problem that will last. It was in response to it's unlikely that Tesla would have sold 2.7 million cars last year, even if everyone loved Musk and they only had installed capacity of 2.35 million units. The main issue is that money-losing compliance EVs are being dumped on the market cheaper than Teslas. And we know that they are already ramping down their production, which is a leading indicator of future sales, but they still have quite a bit of inventory. For example, new electric vehicles from Fisker were sold between $2,500 to $16,500 because they just went bankrupt. So this extra inventory definitely affects demand, and it's a problem, but not a problem that will last. And when it comes to recessions, no recession lasts forever. Historically speaking, looking at the US, Pesci thanked the gods once again. He's getting ready to buy more Tesla stock. So people are complaining that this is the most poopy performance on NASDAQ. God bless Tesla bag holders, and Omar has been loving holding this bag since $4 per share. I didn't get in this early, but that's great for Omar. I became a Tesla investor in early 2019. There's some extreme dishonesty about the Cybertruck right now. There's this clip, and just on Twitter alone, it already got 10 million views almost.
What just happened? Are you kidding me?
Oh my god! Our whole frame just snapped. The hitch is hooked up to what?
Jeez.
That thing's totaled. You're not fixing that. The truck is totaled. Like any other normal truck could do that, and you're not gonna break the frame. It's sealed. Let's say your trailer, it gets a flat and then it hits a pothole, it could shear this whole thing off.
So that short made it seem like the Cybertruck fell apart just because it tried to tow the F-150? That whole test was so dishonest. They compared the F-150 to the Cybertruck. Which one do you think is going to take a lot more damage? The Cybertruck jumping so high up, or the F-150 that's barely in the air compared to the Cybertruck? Of course, both are in the air, but look at how much higher up is the Cybertruck. Yeah, of course it's going to take a lot more damage first. Also, the Cybertruck went through this whole thing and the F-150 got stuck in the middle right here, which is why it had to be pulled.
We're gonna go one more, and then we gotta send it, okay? Critical steering issue detected. Oh, there it goes.
There we go.
Ow, ow, ow.
Oh. Oh my god.
All right, we're screwed.
I completely agree with AI Driver that saying these trucks went through the same durability test is criminal. I mean, not actually, but that's extremely dishonest. And the F-150 didn't even make it through this test. Cybertruck did, and it took this damage, which the F-150 did not. Alex says, no pickup truck in the world can be subjected to this type of abuse without sustaining severe damage. In fact, the Ford F-150 in this so-called test was not subjected to 1/10 the abuse that the Cybertruck endured. Ouch. Ouch! Look at this damage. This is just crazy. How can you call this an objective test when you do this to the Cybertruck but not to the F-150? We just got an update here. Tesla Giga Berlin's expansion hinges on boosting sales first. Plan manager says billions won't be spent until clear market demand is seen. This statement comes after Tesla's expansion for Giga Berlin has basically been approved, but that's because Tesla Giga Berlin's expansion permit has been cut into several parts, and approval for the second part of the permit was postponed last month. So Tesla has permission to start construction within Tesla Giga Berlin's existing facility, but the approval does not include permission to cut down more trees in the forest near Giga Berlin. Giga Berlin's plant manager said, we firmly believe that the market will pick up again. It is certainly a question of how quickly and when. Also, remember that right-hand vehicles are now being made in Giga Berlin too, so they have more places to serve. I'm not sure the original source for this, but there is a post from Tesla Chan that Tesla in China has a production plan for the Model Y at around 55,000 units in August. For comparison, Tesla only built 34,400 Model Ys in China in June. Although we knew from earlier that Tesla was planning to increase its production in China in August, possibly to build up its inventory for what's to come with the refresh models later. Or it's just higher demand. We now have quite a bit more data on this FSD tracker website. We have almost 4,000 miles, 2,000 city miles, and the trend is still holding well. 82% of the drives don't have interventions, or specifically they call them disengagements. So actually I assume that a gentle accelerator tap would not count because you don't disengage the car, you just nudge it a little bit. Anyway, Gary Black really likes this data and he says that it's getting better. Dylan Loomis though is pushing back to have to tell if the laughably small sample size is representative of the entire fleet. Anecdotally, it seems to be accurate, but guesstimating my critical disengagements, they're on par with 12.3.6. Keep in mind he's talking about critical disengagements, not just overall interventions or disengagements. 12.5 is smoother and more enjoyable, but I've already had 5+ instances where I had not intervened and or the other person wasn't ready. Accidents could have happened, meaning he has had 5 safety critical disengagements so far. His opinion is that you would think if they were really good, they would be public already, the intervention data from Tesla directly. It's not like they would be giving away any secret sauce, guessing it's awesome data in certain heavily trained locations and pretty bad in others, like where Dylan is at. One reason why Tesla perhaps removed the steering wheel nag is maybe because Tesla does want to share the data publicly, but if you do have the steering wheel nag, I sometimes accidentally disengage FSD because I try to nudge the steering wheel and I just do it a bit too harshly. It's not an intervention, but if Tesla tracks this data, it would count as an intervention. So while overall I definitely agree with Dylan, I think there's a little bit more to it than just, oh, it's not great. Dylan is making some Tesla stock predictions here, and his predictions are benefiting him right now. And I made a prediction too that Tesla stock would go 30% under this moving average, and in my opinion, a pretty good strategy to buy Tesla stock if you have a lump sum is 30% below this moving average. That is, if you are afraid, am I getting a good deal at this moment or not? If you follow this strategy, there's a good chance that you might miss out on big gains if Tesla stock never drops again this much. But if you have other opportunities that you want to invest in and Tesla stock is just one of many, then this strategy can work out pretty well. And so my prediction that Tesla stock would drop 30% below this moving average already came true earlier this year. I said it would happen sometime in the next 36 months, but it happened much sooner. In the comments earlier, I was asked about this prediction that I made. And what is my prediction now, basically? Keep in mind, though, that the stock this last time, it only stayed 30% under the 365-day moving average for one single day. And I predict that in the next 36 months again, Tesla stock will drop at least 30% under the 365-day moving average. But I could have made the exact same prediction in 2020, and I would have been totally right, but you would have been better off buying over here instead of once it dropped 30% below this moving average here. You can do a quick backtest yourself and you will see that if you buy 30% under the moving average, your chances of staying under for an extended period of time are significantly lowered. But at the same time, you can miss out on some serious upside, so this strategy is not to maximize returns, it's just to lower your risk a little bit. And to me, fundamentals trump any strategy like this, by the way. For more emotional investors, I would say, well, if you're afraid that Tesla stock is going to drop, I would try to buy under this moving average. Doesn't guarantee returns, it just tells you based on recent performance, how good of a deal are you getting. So right now we are below that moving average, and this is when I would get a lot more excited. And so Dylan is saying, I haven't moved these white wedge lines since I originally made that Tesla post on July 1st saying I think we are more likely to move back toward $175 before moving toward all-time highs again. Here's his chart. While we wicked about the upper resistance, we still have not had a weekly close above it and how clearly been rejected yet again. It's funny to me how people will mock technical analysis and call it stonk astrology and so on. The truth is, if you read anything at all about how Wall Street actually works, dark pools, derivatives, leverage levels, etc., you would know many firms have entire divisions dedicated to technical analysis and is 100% a tool that they use. When you boil it down, it's just historical data. I think many of these skeptics have tried to implement it in the past and have failed, and so it must be nonsense. Or they just never take any time at all to try to learn how to use it, and so anything they don't understand must be bad. That same strategy you call nonsense is the reason I've been prepared for this outcome for weeks. Set aside capital for pullback around 250s, start buying on the way down, buy in 220s, buy under 210, buy under $200. Dylan's use of technical analysis is always paired with fundamentals, should go without saying, and he's only sharing this as an example of how technical analysis plus fundamentals can improve your entry levels over time. Had I bought into the hype of the July 1st green candle, when everyone was saying Tesla would be back over $300 soon, I would have used up all my liquidity and FOMO'd in at $250. Instead, I use a few indicators I spent months learning and trying to understand and pair them with weak Tesla fundamentals and a highly questionable macro picture, and everything has played out as expected. But with things like this, keep in mind that often things don't work out. Otherwise, why 64% of active large cap fund managers fare worse than their benchmark, the S&P 500, in any given year? That's just one any given year. When you extend that to 5, 10, 20 years, almost all of them do much worse. Also, remember this? Chicken Genius, he's known for his technical analysis, and on December 27th of 2022, he said this is not the bottom of Tesla stock. Durable bottoms, you'll see a phase of consolidation. DCA investors like me who dollar cost average supposedly got wrecked. In the meantime, here's literally me on December 27th, more excited than ever about the Tesla stock buying opportunity. Sure, technical analysis can be somewhat useful if you believe in stock astrology, and it works because many people do believe in stock astrology, but fundamentals override any technical analysis. So be very careful relying on technical analysis. I think it can be be helpful to make some decisions, but it should never be used solely as the main driver for your decision maker if you are a long-term investor. This is my opinion. And by the way, I don't always say that Tesla stock is just going to go up. For example, 2 years ago, I said most likely actually it will drop further. Tesla stock was trading at $300, split adjusted back then. My message was basically sell Tesla now or years later. Bradford has an update. I reviewed his Tesla valuation model before. In January of 2023, we placed a conservative valuation of $1,100 per share on Robotaxi Now, or Tesla valuation report. Given research by Uber, which basically showed that demand would 25x for miles at $1 per mile versus $2 per mile, he's guessing that he will need to do a revision to his valuation model and update his price targets upwards. The closer Tesla gets to robotaxi and full self-driving being safer than human driving, the more we will see people like that. In the meantime, I've seen quite a few people getting 12.5.1.1, and this is pretty interesting. The car even pulled into the parking lot garage at the end. And here Omar shows that 99.4% of his driving was handled by Tesla FSD today. We need to get to 99.9%, says Gary Black, and from Omar's experience, we are not too far from that in San Francisco, where he lives. But of course, to some degree, these are going to be slightly cherry-picked rides. Keep in mind that this is just one person saying this. Dirty Tesla account seems to be pretty happy with this. The vehicle executed 2 multi-lane roundabouts in a row. So here's the first one. This one is just perfect. No issues. Smooth. All good. And here's the second one that comes up in just about 20 seconds or so. Also, no issues, smooth, perfect. And here's something the media will never talk about because, you know, it doesn't pay money to talk about this. You can visibly see that the Tesla autopilot system, or the safety system, actually brakes so hard that the whole car tilted forward, and without the car braking, probably it would have been a terrible crash. Here's another good example of how FSD is really useful for improving your safety. I was looking left the entire time for approaching traffic. People go 55 miles an hour on this road and it's a blind corner, and did not see this person at all until the car had already started controlling for him. Very good, very impressive. I have experienced similar things as well with the FSD, where it just sees things before I do, just a tiny little bit sooner, and it just makes the driving experience a bit more calm and relaxed. Alexandra Mers just did this poll. My head is spinning this morning, and I realize that this may be complete fantasy, but do you believe Tesla will still sell cars to retail customers in 10 years? I think so. I think Tesla will still sell cars, although there could be a period of time where wait times could be quite a bit longer, again, due to FSD being safer than human driving. Omar predicts Tesla will still sell vehicles, but the average consumer probably won't own their own car. Here's a statement from the former president about EVs and Elon Musk from this weekend. I'm for electric cars. I have to be because Elon Musk endorsed me, so I have no choice. I'm for them, but for a small slice. They want to go all electric, and there is no way you can ever charge them up. A charger is a gas pump with electricity coming through. Certainly, I take this as not bad news, as he clearly said, I'm for electric cars. Although, if he is elected, there's a good chance if the Senate and the Congress is controlled by the right, they are going to try to repeal the tax credits for EVs and all of that. We actually have a few good reports about Tesla's deliveries. Here's Australia. You can see that the first month of the quarter here is definitely quite a bit better than the previous few first months. And this is South Korea. Definitely a good start here. And then there's the UK. So far, also a promising first month. Even Germany is doing better than the previous quarter, which could maybe reverse this downtrend, which was started by the removal of subsidies. So far, the numbers are looking promising. Also, we are seeing things like this. First time we have seen a Tesla supercharger outputting significantly higher than 250 kilowatts. For example, is doing 320 kilowatts here. Well, this is definitely good. And Tesla officially confirmed this, that they are running a trial on a few different V3 Plus stations with V3 cabinets, but V4 charge post. It's not a bug, but it's also not rolled out to all hardware capable stations. The limiting factor before theorized that V4 chargers could hit 600 kilowatts, which would be amazing. That's more than double what Tesla's V3 superchargers have been able to do. And here's some good news for Tesla. China court finds Tesla braking system effective without any faults. Many investors remember This from before. Yeah, so things are looking good for Tesla in China. This, I think, is relevant to us Tesla investors because it signals that maybe Elon could be slightly distracted. Elon Musk has revived a lawsuit against ChatGPT maker OpenAI and its CEO Sam Altman today, saying that the firm put profits and commercial interests ahead of the public good. Earlier, we had reports that it was on pause, but Elon did say that there will be an update coming, and now we have an update. The case is going to continue. I personally don't mind Elon being slightly distracted with this because I'm really curious myself. What happened to OpenAI and Sam Altman earlier when he was kicked out of OpenAI for just a few days and then he was reinstated as the CEO again? There's definitely something going on there, and I want to know what's going on. There's an article on Finance Yahoo. EV costs on track to match gas guzzlers as early as next year as battery prices drop dramatically. This is inevitable. I've been talking about this for years now. Look at this cost. Just now in 2022, we were at $156 per kilowatt hour, and now they are saying we are dropping to $115 and below 100 to 91. And look at this. Markets are not the only thing that's crashing. Battery prices, lithium specifically, it is going downhill as well. I mean, just look at this price. Just in June, it was over 100,000, and now we are below 80,000. That's a 20% drop in just a little over a month for lithium, which is a big component in batteries. Did you know that Tesla is still sending new FSD updates to Hardware 2 vehicles from 2016? So those of you who are worried about Hardware 3, just keep this in mind. Morgan Stanley, Adam Jonas has released his 6th annual intern survey. Mercedes and BMW were the most desired car brands, followed by Tesla in the 3rd place. And this is out of any car brands, really. So the 3rd place is pretty impressive. I don't think Tesla is really trying to be a luxury brand, and yet it beat Audi. In the long term, we know that Tesla is trying to be a mass market brand. Well, here's something I found. Adin Ross is about to gift this Cybertruck to the former president. Elon Musk personally replied to this, so pay attention. This is Warren Buffett sitting on record high cash, $277 billion of cash. 1/3 of it was added in the past year. Look at this jump. What do you think this means? I think this signals that Warren Buffett believes there is going to be a recession. Otherwise, why would you have such a big jump in cash? Elon Musk explains he's clearly expecting a correction of some kind, or otherwise simply cannot see better investments than treasury bills. Well, he can also buy Tesla stock. The Feds need to drop rates. They have been foolish not to have done so already. And in Canada, by the way, we have dropped interest rates more than once now. And generally, that is great for stocks like Tesla, which are growth stocks, tech stocks. So if we somehow manage to have a soft landing and avoid a terrible recession, lower interest rates would definitely benefit Tesla greatly. From increased demand to vehicles because financing is better to improved valuations for Tesla. Okay, this one is a bit off topic, but I saw Farzad post this and I was like, what? Did this really happen? The US government has accidentally sent at least $239 million in development assistance to the Taliban since 2021 due to the State Department's failure to properly vet award recipients? Anyway, that's just absurd. Elon Musk also responded to this post. You might be right about that. Markets are now pricing in a likely Harris administration rather than a Trump administration. The Federal Reserve is now under pressure. Bill Ackman says the Fed was too slow to raise rates and now it is too slow to lower them. Oh, and now it has happened. The former president is sitting in a Cybertruck here and he said, Elon, you're great. I don't know if you're seeing this, but you are really good. Seems like to me, the former president, if he is elected again, he is going to have a pretty decent relationship with Elon Musk. That's it for this video. I just published an exclusive video on Patreon. What does this mean for Tesla? Trump was in a Cybertruck, and yeah, you can see the whole thing right here. So I go through it in the video on Patreon. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before, from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.